Hi friends, Rusty back here with you on this Tuesday just before lunch. It is 11:49 a.m. coming on because we're going to be tracking some strong to severe storms for a good part of the early afternoon across central Florida. So wanted to jump on and kind of give you the situation right now, and then just, again, it being a live stream. We're going to sit here, I'm going to watch it for you. We'll see how this plays out, but get prepared for some rowdier storms in central Florida over the next couple of hours. We talked about it in a couple of live streams yesterday. We've seen impulses of energy moving out of the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The next one is coming through as we speak. The first thing I want to highlight here is our one severe thunderstorm warning that is still in effect. We did have one on the northern sides of the Tampa area here, but that one has just expired. This one goes for the next 24 minutes here. It's basically on the south side of Tampa, including places like St. Petersburg, the southern side of St. Pete, Holmes Beach, towards the Bradenton area there, and then just to the north of Gibsonton. This could be producing some winds of 60 miles an hour and some inch-sized hail. So kind of on the tail end of this solid line of storms, we do have the one severe thunderstorm warning producing, more than anything, some very gusty winds and some hail. Now look, it is raining extremely heavily, and again, this is an old severe thunderstorm there in the Tampa area, from Tampa up towards East Lake and Temple Terrace and the Carrollwood area, basically 275. It's going to be wet. Lowry Park Zoo, places like that, Temple Terrace, and you can see that tracking off towards the east right now. And so this is going to be moving right across the I-75 I-4 interchange. So a good chunk of some of the major thoroughfares there on the northern and the eastern sides of the greater Tampa area impacted by this. And by the way, that is the movement. All of this activity is moving off towards the east. So it's come inland from our west coast. Sorry about that. It's come inland from our west coast, and it continues to work its way off towards the east. And again, a really solid line of storms, a lot of lightning. You can see our live lightning count right there on the top of your screen. 136 lightning strikes within the last 15 minutes in this view. And honestly, I've actually filtered down some of the lightning strikes. We're actually only looking at the most intense lightning strikes out of this. Now, you do see these purple areas. That is a tornado watch that goes until 1 p.m. Still in effect at this point in time, but that's the watch that you see up there in purple. Tornado watch until 1 p.m. We have not had any tornadic activity, thankfully, but I'll be monitoring that. Some of the areas that could potentially, again, still under the tornado watch, whether you're still under the threat or not, include Lake County and portions of Marion County and Flagler counties as well. And again, this goes until 1 o'clock. And we'll monitor the situation, but the Weather Service hopefully continues to cut down this watch as we go into the afternoon hours. Again, I want to thank everyone for tuning into Central Florida Weather Live. One of the reasons I'm doing this is obviously we can stream at any point in time. So if you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section. I am monitoring that as well. You see current conditions on the bottom side of your screen. But let's talk about how these storms are going to be playing out here over the next hour or so. So we're going to just kind of take and go right down the line here with our live radar. The first thing I actually want to do is, since we're so far away here, I'm actually going to switch over to the Melbourne radar here. So let me bring that up. And again, I can access all the different NextRad sites. So depending on where we are and what I'm looking at, I'm going to be switching sites and looking at different things to help me analyze things in real time. And that's the situation here, Central Florida Weather Live, analyzing it real time with you guys as well. So we'll start in the northern sides of our area here. Some rain up towards Palm Coast and Flagler Beach. It gets a little bit more prominent right now, De Leon Springs and DeLand. You can see some of the lightning strikes there in the interior portions of Volusia County. Again, this continues to track off towards the east here, towards the I-4 corridor, eventually over I-95. So if you live in Daytona Beach, in Port Origin, Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, Edgewater, this cell, it's non-severe, but it has a lot of heavy rain and some lightning. It's going to be continuing to track your way off towards the east. These are moving on average at around 30 miles an hour, but it is somewhat area dependent here. Some of the stronger storms are moving a little bit faster. The southern side of the line is also moving a little bit faster in general as well. Just some showers ahead of the main line towards the northern sides of Lake County, but it is absolutely raining cats and dogs. We got a pretty heavy thunderstorm right now. Not a severe weather statement or anything like that. And as a matter of fact, I just want to continue to monitor the Weather Service here Yep, nothing. They did issue a new severe thunderstorm warning for the St. Petersburg area, and we'll go back down when we highlight that. So, and let me just make sure that that is correct. Yes, it is. Okay, so what we're looking at here in Lake County is Umatilla on over towards Leesburg and Tavares and Yahala. This is a strong storm. A lot of lightning in it. Again, very low visibility if you're traveling along 441 or 27. 91 on the map is the turnpike. So you can see again, that is some pretty heavy rain and lightning moving through that area right now. This then backs up into portions of Sumter County, Bushnell and Center Hill and Webster on over towards 301 there. And of course the I-75 corridor. And then you start getting into, again, even more intense rain. Generally speaking right now, the farther south that you go, the heavier it is. But I want to note that this is an extremely solid line. It's rather wide, and it certainly is holding together in the north to south corridor as well, down towards Zephyr Hills and then Lando Lakes. And again, following 75, it's going to be a really wet one. Now, the new severe thunderstorm warning that just cropped up here is going to be this one right here. That's going to be pushing up towards the north and to the east. So that severe thunderstorm warning, let's take a look at that one, is going to go, let's see here, till 12:15 for northwest Manatee, southeast Pinellas, and south central Hillsborough counties, 60-mile-an-hour winds and some quarter-sized hail. So for the next 18 minutes here, you can see, I believe what they probably ended up doing is just adding on to this severe thunderstorm warning that was already in effect, but it now just covers a bigger part of the Tampa area here. And again, you can see it's raining very heavily in downtown Tampa towards Brandon and Riverview and Gibsonton, and all of this is pushing off towards the east, so into the Seffner and Mango areas there, eventually Dover, and then getting back towards Plant City. And you can see that even ahead of this, we're getting a few lightning strikes ahead of the main line, but this is a very solid line of heavy showers and storms that will continue to be marching across our area right now. And again, if you're joining me right now, we're probably right around lunchtime. If you want to take a break and watch us in Central Florida Weather Live, I got you covered here. Thank you for hitting the like button. I appreciate that. It lets more people know that I'm on, and certainly tell your family and friends about us as well. Again, live only channel. I'm coming on to you when there's situations to talk about, and we have another line of strong to severe storms that will be working its way across Central Florida as we go through the remainder of the early afternoon hours. Main threat, even though we have a tornado watch, the main more widespread impacts are going to be winds of up to 60 miles an hour and maybe some inch-sized hail, all right? There was a little bit more energy and rotation in the atmosphere to areas north. And again, that's where we had some of that. I'm going to take my, oops, sorry about that. Take myself off camera real quick. Going to put on a little chapstick, a little bit of dry lips, so you guys don't need to see that. But you can see again that tornado watch goes up to the Jacksonville area here. Going to be in effect until 1 p.m. And we'll see what the Storm Prediction Center and the Weather Service wants to do about any additional watches here as we go through the afternoon hours. So again, with my weather computer here, our radar system at Central Florida Weather Live, I could take a look at some of the higher impact areas along this line. So in particular here, just north of the land, we're pinging a storm cell right now that again is moving east at 38. So again, I said 30, it's somewhere between 30 and 40 in most spots. 60% chance for hail, but it is going to be smaller size, less than a ½ inch. Generally that would not be damaging, but again, you might not want your car in that. And it is moving off right now to the north and to the east. So you can see some of those areas of impact here. And again, that is where the strongest part of the cell is going to be. So it will be moving across the I-95, I-4 corridor right at 12:19, basically 20 minutes from now. So if you know anyone who lives near the LPGA Boulevard area there in the Western Daytona area, let them know. It'll be headed towards Port Orange. Let me get myself a little bit more off screen. About 12:26. The South Daytona area of US 1 at 12:25. Daytona Beach proper just off of that. So again, I can track it within this cone and then it goes away. But that's smart because again, we're only looking at these areas of big time impact with this. So for the Daytona Beach area in general, we're talking about 23 minutes from now, the opportunity to see some very heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and maybe some very small pea-sized hail. I'm not too concerned with the hail issue out of this, but again, the radar system and the algorithm is letting me know that there is the opportunity for some of that. And again, you can see your live lightning strikes on the top-hand side of your screen. Kelly wants to know, do you have a timeline for Apopka? Yes, we will get into all of that, Kelly. I absolutely am happy to talk to you about that, and it's not too far off for you guys as well. There is the Orange City area. There's Umatilla, Eustis, Tavares, and again, when you get into Lake County, this line actually gets even a little bit stronger. There's the Yahala area right now, and again, what the computer is saying is that the individual cells are moving northeast while the line moves off towards the east. So you can see that track right there, taking it through places like Eustis and Mount Dora in fairly short order. And again, this is not when the rain will arrive, but it is when the most pronounced heavier part of that storm will be getting into your area. So Mount Dora in about, what do we say here, in about 12 minutes, 12 and a half minutes. Oakland Park in about 10. No rotation out of this, my friends in Eustis, at about 11 minutes, about 12:12 Eastern time. So just a little bit here now that we're at the top of the hour. All right, so for Apopka, first couple of things I want to show you here really quick, Kelly, is obviously you guys are just on the line of getting some of that heavier activity right now. If I switch over to the composite radar, and the reason why I want to do that is we're going to take a look at what the loop has been like over the last 2 hours or so. So let me put this into motion for you here. And I want you guys to see kind of how this has played out over the last couple of hours here. So hopefully we'll get the radar to cooperate and actually start to loop as well. The lightning strikes are, I know that much. Let's see here. Let me try one more thing. Let's see. Doo-doo-doo. Come on. All right. So that's not going to loop. That's okay. But anyway, I just wanted to show you what the potential movement of these storms are going to be right now. So let me get the composite radar off then, and let me get back on our Melbourne radar here. So that should pop on momentarily. And then I can actually just manually track this for you guys as well. I mean, again, we can look at these individual cells, but we can also manually track them. So let's go over to our manual tracker. Let me bring that up for us here. And I'm going to pop that on. I'm going to move it over here. So we're going to draw a manual storm track here. So basically, Kelly, we'll just do central Apopka area. Again, it's moving off towards the east, a little bit over 30 miles an hour here. So let's say about 33, 34. So the part where you're going to get the heavier rain in your area is in about 23 minutes for the downtown Apopka area, okay? That's when the leading edge of this much solid cell is going to be working your way into the area. Now, you have rain ahead of it, Kelly. All right, you do have some showers in the northwest side of Orange County there. But again, where that main line is just taking right from that point and drawing it out, does look like about 23 minutes for Apopka. We've got 30 minutes for Wekiwa Springs, 38 for Longwood, 40 in Castleberry, 40 in Lake Mary. And again, that's averaging about 33 miles an hour or so. So we'll be monitoring that. It could pick up a little bit of forward speed. But again, at this point in time, it's not severe, but it is a very wide swath of heavy rain and a lot of wind outside. So again, thunderstorms are incoming here into the Orlando metro area, and some of that will be in short order. Kelly, I hope that answered your question for you here. Again, I would say 20 plus minutes or so. And again, all of this line is very, very active right now through Lake County. I mean, there's a lot of lightning for Leesburg and Yahala and Astatula, Mascot and Groveland. If you live in Claremont, the weather is closing in on you. You probably just want to be inside. I mean, this is a pretty nasty storm, even though it's not severe. It's going to be heavy enough rain. It's going to cause some visibility issues on the roadways there. And again, you can see all of the lightning strikes. And again, I've even filtered out some of the lower energy lightning strikes. So these are the most intense strikes, and we've still got 55 in just this pretty small view here in the last 15 minutes. For the downtown Orlando area, a little shower has developed here just on the southeast sides of Windermere. Basically, there's a lot of moisture with our south winds being fed into this line. So again, we're feeding in some moisture, we're feeding in some energy, and the line itself is, again, continuing to stay fairly active right now. And you get towards the tail end, and that's where we have our our severe thunderstorm warning, which has been expanded now to include a greater part of the Tampa area, including Gibsonton. Again, it goes for another 10 minutes. Main threats with these storms, and this is the threat that I'm expecting for most of this line, is going to be winds of up to 60 miles an hour and some in-sized hail. Look, there's an opportunity again. Look, we have a tornado watch up here, but you can see that the weather's just not nearly as active to the north. Basically behind this line, we've raked the atmosphere. The energy is coming down. Now, look, this is all short term. If you watched or joined me live for the live streams I did yesterday, you know that I mentioned that we've got several rounds of storms still to come, at least a couple more. So after this one, we might be a little bit quiet for the remainder of the daylight hours of this Tuesday, but there's additional waves of energy being kicked out of the north central and the east central portions of the Gulf of Mexico. And again, there's just a ton of heavy rain and storms in this area as well. You can see that tracking up to the north and to the east. So this particular cell is moving northeast and it's picking up some speed, 46 miles an hour right now. The opportunity for some hail, 70% chance, small hail, not damaging hail, pea-sized hail, but you can see where this might be going into. So let's zoom into those areas. Mascot in about 13 minutes, again, counting down to the second for you right now. And again, this is from the area of maximum intensity. You are already getting some very heavy rain in Mascot. So we're not talking about the leading edge of the rain. We're talking about where the radar is finding the most intense part of this line, and that will be moving into your area. Now, even ahead of this, you could get some smaller sized hail out of this. It's actually a pretty intense cell overall. So in these kinds of situations, it's hard to just pinpoint something. Obviously, if we were talking about rotation, we'd be looking a lot more pinpoint. But when we're looking at just a large line of storms like this, even out ahead of where we're kind of talking about, which could be the most intense, there are certainly still some very intense areas of this. Heavier rain is beginning to develop over portions of Lake Apopka. So the Montverde area in Oakland and Winter Garden, going to get a couple of raking showers there in the 429. And that'll be again moving deeper into Orange County. But Lake County right now getting hit pretty hard. Same thing with portions of Sumter County. Right now you can see that storm there down towards portions of Pasco County. There's Dade City. This one is moving off right now at 46 miles an hour. And so if we take that as being the actual forward speed, what we're talking about here for our friends in the attractions is the opportunity for some of these storms and a lot of lightning to move over the attractions area right around 12:45, maybe a few minutes earlier than that. Time of arrival, counting down live on your screen, about 37 minutes, okay? And again, these will update live in real time, and it does look like it's trying to take the most intense part of the cells and kind of push them east-northeast, but I'm telling you, the entire line is moving off towards the east. As a matter of fact, because the attractions are obviously a big spot right now, and if you know anyone who's visiting the attractions, let them know they've got some weather coming in. I want to manually track that storm for you right now. And again, I'm going to go from the leading edge, the area of concern where it would start, and I'm going to go out 45 miles an hour. It might be slightly fast, but I'd rather be ahead of time than not. So we're looking at Lake Buena Vista in 32 minutes. So if you have any family or friends who work at the attractions, or you have family and friends who are visiting and are at the attractions, or if you're at the attractions yourself, there is a rowdy line of storms coming your way in about a half hour. A lot of lightning, heavy rain. I mean, you might not see it because we're so stuck in the soup and the clouds out there, but if you look off towards the west, you got to see at least the lower, darker clouds out there because this is a solid line that's coming in. Now, eventually, if this holds together, and I think it's going to, you're going to be talking about moving through Metro Orlando for the remainder of the late noontime hour into the early 1 o'clock hour here. So you're looking at Tangelo Park in 38 minutes, Oak Ridge in 41, Sky Lake in 43, Pine Castle 45, Edgewood 45. Same thing for Belle Isle and Conway in at 48. Again, that's just from one point, but let me be clear. I fully expect the entire Orlando metro area to get raked by these storms. And again, they're very intense back down towards Tampa right now, where our severe thunderstorm warning continues for the next 5 minutes. And again, I love this system because it keeps everything in real time. Again, you can see right on your screen, the polygon in red, severe thunderstorm warning, and that actually has been extended up to here, okay? Then it's going to tell you exactly when it expires, 5 minutes from now, and it's going to give you the main problem criteria, winds of 60 miles an hour and some inch-sized hail. And of course, on the top of your screen, you see the lightning strike data as well. So again, just a very intense line of storms. We do have that tornado watch currently still in effect here, but again, it goes until 1 o'clock, but it's not as concerning to me right now. Did they drop it? No, they didn't. They've still got a couple of counties in the watch right now. All right. I think they did drop Marion County though. I'm going to take this off for now. I think it's not really appreciable to what's happening because most of the counties that are in the watch are behind the line and the atmosphere is raked, and there's really no opportunity for more severe weather behind that. So I think this gives us just a little bit clearer view here. We do have some special marine warnings, and I can actually put those on as well. Let's see here. Special marine warnings for coastal portions of Flagler and Volusia counties. Those go for the next 49 minutes. And you gotta love this too. The computer knows we're talking to mariners. So it's gonna take the miles per hour and it's gonna switch it to knots. 1 knot equals 1.15 miles per hour. Greater than 34 knots and then less than 0.75 inches of hail size. So again, those are your threats. So you're going to see the special marine warnings. Those are going to be your blue polygons. And again, that's going to be for coastal portions of southern Flagler County and the central or the northern sides of Volusia County. And that goes for the next 48 minutes. So we do have a few special marine warnings that are also currently in effect right now. So again, back down the line, your severe thunderstorm warning on the southern sides of Tampa. The line is absolutely solid right now, beginning to move into Polk County, out of portions of Pasco and Hernando County, Sumter County. It's raining very heavily, but the heaviest rain has now moved off towards your east. It's really rough in Lake County right now, and all of this is tracking into orange and portions of Cibolo. And again, this is a solid line right now. Let me get back into what's happening here in the Daytona Beach area. Something to certainly talk about. First of all, you can see the heavier rain, the lightning getting within this, and then whenever my radar is picking up these signatures here, that's really high reflectivity. That's why it's flashing. It's almost letting me know, like an alarm, look, there's an opportunity for either extremely heavy rain or we've got some hail. And especially when I start to see some lightning strikes near that core, it's a little bit more indicative of actually seeing some hail. So I can actually look at here, this is called the probability of severe hail. And there you go, right? So basically I put a hail tracker on. And it's very clear to see that that area there just to the east of I-4, and we're looking north of Lake Helen, by the way, and just to the north of 44, we've got the opportunity for some relatively large hail in this area. So you're looking at about an 85% chance of quote-unquote severe hail. That's going to be hail over 1 inch in size. So very impressive potential hail there. Let's take a look at the base velocity. I'm just looking at a couple of different things here. I don't see any wind out of that. That's good news. But again, we can look at estimated hail size as well. So this is just basically the algorithm of the radar saying what hail size could we see. And as I mentioned, the inch hail. So there you go. So it does look like there's a core of some potential inch-size hail, and I'll be monitoring how this tracks, maybe headed up towards the I-4 corridor there in portions of Volusia County. Again, friends, welcome to Central Florida Weather Live. I'm here live. It is 12:13 on this Tuesday early afternoon. Hope you're doing well. I'm tracking some strong to severe storms throughout a lot of Central Florida for you right now. Got you covered. Great seeing you. If you're in and maybe this is your first time, or even if you've been joining me since the beginning here and we've been doing this for a couple of weeks, thank you so much for liking this live stream. And then again, sharing this page with your family and friends really helps things out. I appreciate it as we get started here across Central Florida Weather Live. All right, back over to the reflectivity. So again, we're pinging some very high reflectivity here in these areas, nearly an over 60 dBz. So that's just some very, very intense activity there. Let's get back into some storm tracking mode here as well. And again, here is this cell that has ramped up in hail size. So we got to watch out for that one as well. It's not still extremely intense, but it is relatively strong. So here you go. You've got yourself a storm right now that is moving to the northeast at 41, 20% chance for hail, less than a half inch. So it's not big hail over potentially, let's say, the LPGA Boulevard area here. You can see some of the times of arrival on your screen. Daytona Beach, South Daytona, Daytona Beach Shores, 16 to 18 minutes there. Going to be getting kind of closer to the US 1 corridor here in more than likely about 11 and a half minutes. So really the US 1 corridor will more than likely begin to be impacted here in the next 10 minutes. So by the heaviest part of the cell, look, it's already extremely heavy rainfall. Again, not tracking the leading edge, I'm tracking the most intense part of that cell, and where we actually have a little bit of lightning as well. You live in this area, let me know what you're seeing, but that's an intense storm that's moving over Volusia County as we speak. Again, times of arrival there, moving to the northeast at around 41 miles an hour. Hail core right now, more rural areas, but I'll be monitoring that right in between I-4 and the I-95 corridor there in Volusia County. And if it gets closer to more populated spots, we'll certainly come back to that. And again, you can see that the algorithm is showing those areas. So let's talk about that real quick. How and where could this storm be impacted if this hail core stays together? And look, it's a long duration for it to hold together. But if you live in Port Orange or Ponce Inlet, we're looking at this storm headed your way. Port Orange at about 25, Ponce Inlet in about 29. Now, obviously, we're going to get a lot of rain and lightning ahead of this, but there is a hail core with maybe up to an inch size hail. Right now, it says 3/4 of an inch, but we looked at those other products that had it right around an inch of size hail. That could be some damaging hail in those areas. I would certainly want to be putting my car indoors if I possibly could. And again, we're seeing some new lightning strikes right there near that core. Shows you that that system is pretty energized at this point in time. All right, let's move on down the line here real quick. As I do so, I'm going to take myself off camera, grab a little swig of water. You have a second. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. I would love to hear from you guys. Again, part of the reason why I wanted to do this is the potential for our live interaction. So if you got a question for me, just want to pop in and say hi, I certainly appreciate you. All righty. We'll get back to it. Good to see you again here. Central Florida Weather Live, 12:16 on this early Tuesday afternoon. And again, you're looking live here, tracking some strong to severe storms across the area. New severe thunderstorm warning, and that was what I was checking. Now currently in effect for the metro Orlando area. This is going to go from the Mascot area and Claremont and Montverde and Astatoula in Lake County to include places like Apopka and Lockhart and Ocoee and Winter Garden, Windermere, all the way down to the Lake Buena Vista area and including metro Orlando, Orlando proper, Winter Park, Altamont Springs, Baldwin Park, Oak Ridge. All these areas now currently under severe thunderstorm warning for the next 27 minutes. The main threat will be winds of 60 miles an hour and some 3/4 inch sized hail. This storm is ramping up in intensity. So we can take a look at things right now. I can put on, again, this is going to be basically a long track here of this cell. Let me move this to this side real quickly and then I'm going to bring it back on, I promise. All right. So it just gives you an idea. This is going to basically be our swath, and you can see the estimated times of arrival by the storm movement. Okay, so again, that's what this is showing you right now. So 12:33 near Apopka, 12:50 near I-4, and then the end of that at around 1:13. I'll bring back on the actual cities here. I apologize for this. My mouth sometimes is playing with me. So you can see some of the times of arrival based on that storm movement. Apopka, 15 minutes. Wekiva Springs, 22. 26 in Pine Hills, 28 in Altamont Springs, 30 in Longwood. A little bit more than a half hour for Castleberry and downtown Orlando. Winter Park, 33. Winter Springs, 33. And Oak Ridge, 34. And obviously we have a ton of cities in this severe thunderstorm warning, which now goes for the next 27 minutes. So let me bring this up. I can actually bring this up here. I've got a tablet right next to me. So this goes until 12:45. I'm going to read it straight from the National Weather Service in Melbourne. Severe thunderstorm warning for Southwest Seminole, Southwest Lake, Western Orange, Northwest Osceola. Severe thunderstorm moving off towards the east at around 35. penny-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. So the Weather Service doesn't believe that there may be three-quarter size hail, but again, that's what my weather computer is showing. I would say that could be maximum size, but still, I would want to have my car indoors if you possibly could. You just don't want to play around with the storm because it continues to ramp up in intensity. And if you're just joining me here at Central Florida Weather Live, again, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning for the Orlando metro area. It goes until 12:45 p.m. Basically, right now, what I'm looking at is the strongest part of this cell moving out of Lake County and into portions of western Orange County at this point in time. So you can see all of the lightning within this right now, up towards the Claremont area, Montverde and Mineola crossing over Lake Apopka. We have some pretty rowdy activity right now over the Apopka area. It's very heavy, not a lot of lightning, but some big heavy rain, maybe even a small hail core there just southwest of 441, western sides of Apopka. We got the new sweep in, so it looks like that has pushed off towards the east, but now the intensity is even stronger for Apopka, south of Apopka there, up towards the 414, 429 interchange, maybe as far south as Maitland right now. And again, even ahead of this, we're getting some isolated activity. So this is not severe, but we've had another shower blow up here right over downtown Orlando towards Azalea Park and the Union Park, Winter Park areas. Again, all of this moving to the east at around 35 miles an hour. I think that's a good forward speed average. There might be individual parts of the line that are moving a little bit faster. There's certainly some wind energy. Speaking of that, let's get on our wind gusts as well. So I'm going to put those on. So when you see these double-digit numbers come on, you're going to be looking at live wind data. And I would imagine that we're going to see this come up in intensity a bit as well. And again, just zooming out to get an idea. Well, here you go. There, south of Spring Hill, you've got a 53-mile-an-hour wind gust that came in with that. And that was reported at 11:39 a.m. So as those storms came through portions of Pasco and Hernando counties, kind of right on the border there, 53-mile-an-hour wind gusts. What happened in Tampa? They had some decent wind, but nothing too strong. Zephyr Hills has had a 36-mile-an-hour wind gust lately as well. That storm, I think, is going to produce some strong winds up towards Daytona Beach. Again, it's not severe, but there could be some very small hail there. But again, we do want to focus on what's happening right now in the western sides of Metro Orlando. If you live in this area, it's going to start to go downhill pretty quickly here. Already some of those more intense portions getting into the Oakland area, so Winter Garden and Ocoee will be next here. And again, it could be getting blasted with some south to westerly winds up to 60 miles an hour. It's an intense cell right now. And again, this is a whole line that's going to be moving through. Let's take a look at some of the other products here. I'm going to switch over to, first of all, I'm going to take a look at the let's take a look at the hail size, because this will let me see if there's any hail coming with this. It does look like there could be some very, very small hail embedded within some of this heavier rain in Lake County. It shouldn't be enough, or it shouldn't be big enough more than anything to cause any problems here. So let's take a look and see if we can get this to tell us exactly what it's thinking as far as hail size goes. It's not going to show me, unfortunately, but that looks to be very small hail. Basically, you know, the pinks are the lightest level here, so it doesn't look like that one's going to be an issue for us here. Try one more time. Nope. All right. Not going to get the hail size out of that, but you can see that there's nothing too intense as far as that goes. And now again, up in the Daytona Beach area, we did have some bigger hail, but it looks like that has fizzled out as well. That's good news, because where that popped off some maybe inch-size hail was in a relatively rural area. Let's get to the winds real quick. I just want to see what that is showing as well. So I'm going to switch over to the velocity product. And again, I'm hoping that we can take a look at that. There we go. So you can see that where we're shooting this radar beam, and it is a little up in the atmosphere from Melbourne, but we are picking up some nearly 60-mile-an-hour winds. So I would expect at least 40 to 50 with some of this activity over Winter Garden and Montverde, Astatula, about 48. And so again, the wind is part of the prompting of the severe thunderstorm warning as well. So really solid winds coming in. Again, severe thunderstorm warning for the next 20 minutes. If you live in the downtown Orlando area, this is going to be headed your way, and it's going to get noisy. And it's going to get noisy in a hurry if you live in the western sides of Orange County. A lot of wind energy coming with this particular cell. Let me get back over to reflectivity. And again, now you're looking at the intensity of the storms. A lot of lightning with this. Again, we can track a couple of different things. I'm going to put back on, let me clear that off real quick, guys. And then let me see here if we can put back on our display. Well, it's not cooperating removing that. I'm going to try again here. Let me get back over to the next red. All right. So many things I can do. Again, it does not want to get off of that. That's fine. How about this? There we go. All right. So again, I've just put back on the times of arrival here, and you can see some of those. So again, it doesn't mean that you're not seeing something already, but where is the most intense part coming from? It's Apopka at about 8 minutes, Wekiva Springs 15, Pine Hills 19, Longwood 24, downtown Orlando 26. Up and down this line, winds of up to 60 miles an hour, and maybe some 3/4 inch size hail. So absolutely impressive storms here moving through portions of Metro Orlando. Put this into motion. We'll take a look at the movement here over the last half hour or so. And again, very clear to see that this line is really holding together right now, all the way up into the Daytona Beach area. It's a nasty storm. There's a lot of lightning right now coming through Daytona Beach and South Daytona and Port Orange. Again, I hope that we've gotten rid of the hail threat here, but you can see it's almost squally now. Almost a squall line coming through. We have that special marine warning for the coastal waters of Volusia and Flagler counties as well. And again, this is all moving off to the north, to the east at around 35 miles an hour. The individual cells are trying to move up to the north and to the east. One thing I want to note here as we go back live is look at the activity that has developed ahead of the main line. Now, in some ways, that's actually a good thing. It might suppress the overall intensity of that main line because now we have a cluttered atmosphere. This line isn't out by itself, and the wind fields that might be going into the eastern side of this to really ramp up the wind intensity might be a little bit disturbed because of some of this pop-up shower and thunderstorm activity ahead of it. So I know it's some heavier rain developing, but generally speaking, it may not be a horrible thing, because one thing I look at here is for what's called a bow echo. When we see a little kind of appendage coming off of here, we have what we typically call a bow, and that is because we have stronger winds pushing out that part of the line. The thunderstorms get pushed out ahead because the wind energy along that segment is stronger, and you can almost clearly see, looks like a bow, doesn't it, right? Just looks like someone's pulling back a bow and an arrow, and that's what we're looking at, and it's on that apex. So a COE right now could certainly be seeing some extremely strong winds in addition to the heavier rain, just because they have that bow effect. It's not a very defined one, but those are some of the things that I look at here. And again, you can just see that reflectivity is a little bit farther east than the rest of the line. Again, severe thunderstorm warning continues here. And again, 60-mile-per-hour winds and some 3/4 size hail are going to be the main impacts for us here. And I continue to just monitor the situation behind the scenes as well, looking for anything else. But this is a very large severe thunderstorm warning. Weather Service knew that there wasn't going to be much of a difference across this entire line, so they fired off all of that. Now, you can also see the winds that are beginning to pick up there at the Sanford Airport. They're up to a 37-mile-an-hour wind gust, and that's a non-severe thunderstorm wind gust as well. So it's getting rowdier. There's no doubt about it. A lot of folks, I'm sure, are coming on right now wondering what's happening, and probably because the skies are very dark. It's raining, it's thundering in your area. This is a very solid line of storms that is going to be encompassing a lot of our area as it works its way off towards the east. Intense lightning, winds of up to 60 miles an hour, and some quarter-sized hail. We're getting towards the top of the half hour here, so I'm going to kind of reset things and welcome the new folks who have joined us here at our Central Florida Weather Live streaming channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Rusty McCranie, and I'm happy to be with you here, native of Central Florida, happy to come on and talk about the weather in my backyard here. It's obviously a big passion of mine. And again, you're looking at all live information here, Central Florida Weather Live. I'm only live when there's stuff to talk about. And obviously there's a lot going on right now. You're taking a look at our live radar here. This is out of the Melbourne area. I have access to all the different NEXRAD radar sites. We have a really, really sophisticated weather computer to show you here that can do a lot of different things in real time. It's absolutely the best analysis tool in weather I have ever used in 25 years. I'm excited to bring that to you. And again, I thank you for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, clicking the like button on this live stream. And if you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you can find that in the description below. Okay, so take myself off camera real quick. I'm gonna grab myself a swig of water, take about a 15-second break, and I'll be back in just 1 second, and we'll get going for the top of the next half hour. Okay, it was slightly longer than 15 seconds. I had a couple of swigs of water. I've been talking nonstop for about 45 minutes. How you doing, guys? Welcome back to Central Florida Weather Live. Again, we're going to get right into it here. Severe thunderstorm warning is currently in effect for the Metro Orlando area. This goes until 12:45. Again, our computer continues to follow the most intense part of that storm. And again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get some heavier rain in that area earlier, but it does mean that the intensity will be picking up as we roll through the remainder of this time. So let's take a look at a couple of different things here. And again, looking at these storms, you can see all of the different tracks that I have on for you right now. So anywhere that we're picking up a more intense part, we do have, again, these polygons that show you that. It's not the severe thunderstorm warning, but they're areas of interest. It lets me know some of the spots that I want to be monitoring for us here. So let me put those back off. And again, you can see how big this severe thunderstorm warning is, okay? Winds are 60 miles an hour, potentially with this, 3/4 inch size hail. That's close to being potentially destructive. Again, I wouldn't want to have my car outside if possible. Don't go crazy, but again, if you have the opportunity to pull it indoors under a car park or garage, I would just recommend it here. Extremely intense rain, very rowdy storms. Again, for our friends in the attractions area, this is moving your way. I always want to highlight the attractions because it's just one of the areas, obviously the iDrive corridor, Lake Buena Vista. We have a lot of folks outside right now. Okay, so gotta make sure we cover those folks. We do have some rain near the iDrive corridor right now, but it's just ramping up. But that is what I'll be watching as it tracks off to the east at around 35 miles an hour for us here. So again, severe thunderstorm warning for the area. The polygon in red, that includes Altamont Springs and Winter Park, downtown Orlando, Oak Ridge, Lake Buena Vista, Oakland, Apopka, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Claremont, although places in Lake County, the weather should start to improve slightly. It's still going to be some heavy rain for the next 15 minutes, but the most intense part of this squall line has worked its way off towards the east. If you look to the top side of your screen, that's the lightning strike count over the last 15 minutes in just this view. It shows you how strong things are right now. So kind of just a little lull in the action towards Apopka, but Wekiva Springs, it's going to be working its way into your area. Again, a pretty intense cell working its way into Wekiva Springs, moving northeast right now at around 35 miles an hour. Winter Springs will be down the line for that one. There's Castleberry, there's Altamont Springs. We have some heavy rain right now over the Goldenrod area and Union Park and Azalea Park down towards Oak Ridge. We're picking up some gustier winds there at OIA, 21 miles an hour, nothing crazy as of yet. But again, the main line has yet to come through. And where that is coming through right now is right down the 429. Winter Garden, it's rough down there, guys. Winter Garden over towards Ocoee, on over towards Oakland right now. Again, it just continues. So basically crossing the 429 right now and just going to be marching right along the 408. Turnpike is obviously going to be extremely wet, and that storm, again, that severe thunderstorm warning, goes all the way down into southern Lake County. Now look, it's still pretty rowdy in Polk County. Again, we have Auburndale with a 24-mile-an-hour wind gust. Nothing outrageous. Luckily, this severe storm that was off to our south has lost just a little bit of intensity, but still, as it moves a little bit inland from I-75 there from Ruskin and the Gibsonton areas, we're going to continue to see some heavier storms. And places like, Bartow and Winter Haven could see that as well. Terry jumps on and says, hey, Rusty, I'm near Oviedo. How bad is it going to be and for how long? Well, Terry, I can really sum up the Oviedo area as I can for a lot of areas in Central Florida, and that is there is a solid, strong to severe storm line that'll be working through all of Central Florida for the next couple of hours. This is moving off from west to east right now at around 35 miles an hour. If you notice, the radar is filling in ahead of this line. Now, obviously that means some of the rain is going to be moving into your area a little bit earlier. So if I zoom in to Oviedo right now, Terry, you can see you're just starting to get the beginnings of that, but there's a lot more to come. So the weather is going to be going downhill for places like Oviedo and Winter Springs and Castleberry and the UCF areas over the next 15 to 20 minutes, and then the main line comes in. But again, it's not great, I mean, in the sense that the rain is moving into your area earlier, but as far as a severe weather standpoint, I don't hate the fact that we're seeing all of this heavier kind of congestive showers develop ahead of this, because it's going to kind of mess up the wind field ahead of our squall line, and it might undercut some of the stronger gusts. But again, it just means you're into the rain quicker. So Terry, again, you are currently not under the severe thunderstorm warning. It's just towards your west. But if this line stays intense, the Weather Service might reissue that severe thunderstorm warning farther east, and then you would fall under that. At this point in time, the severe thunderstorm warning expires in the next 10 minutes, but it's just really, really rough. And Terry, I hope that answered your question. Again, the weather's just going downhill here for at least the next 60 to 90 minutes in Oviedo, especially with the intensity of that line coming through. So I'll be monitoring that. Downtown Orlando, there's the Executive Airport, 23-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Just rain is breaking out everywhere right now. It's going to be a very wet lunchtime drive across the Metro Orlando area with the opportunity, again, for some stronger winds. And we can look at that. I'm going to switch back over to our velocity product here. Yeah, I can pick up some of these stronger winds. And again, here, let's see what we got coming out of here. I mean, those are some really, really strong winds. And we're getting a little bit closer to the radar site. So these are a little bit more truthful. I mean, you're talking about maybe some 50-plus mile-an-hour winds in Oak Ridge, in the Tangelo Park area there, across the I-4 interchange, southwest sides of Orange County. I think sporadic 50-plus mile-an-hour winds towards Orla Vista. Yeah, I mean, so really, really good winds obviously coming out. That's going to be one of the main threats here. You can see those winds, a little cluster of some stronger winds up here, just to the north of 438, 50-mile-an-hour winds there. And that'll be pushing in towards Lake Fairview and Fairview Shores, places like that. Pine Hills certainly could be impacted. But again, these pinks are relatively strong. Another big core of wind coming through Lake Buena Vista right now. So again, I hope our friends, you're welcome, Terry, by the way, thank you. So I hope our friends down to the attractions, they're indoors. I hope things are tied down. They have some potential 50-plus mile-an-hour winds moving through that area. And you can see that it's a pretty solid line. Again, so I think that this is very truthful information here. We're not looking too high in the atmosphere from the Melbourne radar. We're not too far off here. Matter of fact, if we want to get squirrely for a second, we can take a look at the radar from the terminal Doppler radar as well. Might be able to do that as well. See if I can get that information to come up. I'm going to do a quick reset, guys. Give me just 1 second here. Pop it off for like a half second. Pop it back on. Sometimes recycling this thing is the best thing to do, to just kind of reset it rather than me trying to individually click things. Some of the easiest things for me to just be like, okay, we're going to start over. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. All right, so there's the terminal Doppler. That pops on. So the terminal Doppler is right out of the MCO area, but it is an extremely fantastic radar, and it is very intense. You can really pinpoint some of those small wind fields. They use it, of course, for the airliners. Let's see what I want to do here. Let me switch over to our radar. The first thing I want to do is get rid of all of those lines. There we go. All right. Now we'll switch over to our base velocity, which we are, and we'll zoom in. So basically what I'm doing now is I've just switched radar sites because I want to see, is this picking up the same kind of winds? A little bit less, and again, this is a little bit more ground truth because the radar is out of the airport, so that beam is shooting pretty low in the atmosphere, not far up at all for Oak Ridge and Tangelo Park. But those are some solid, nearly 40-mile-an-hour winds there. For Lake Buena Vista, 35, a couple of 40s there as you try and get east of I-4 in the Lake Buena Vista area. I'll put it this way, I wouldn't want to be into it. And you can see the line marching in, all right? Red away, green towards. So the airport is about ready to get hit with these winds as well. And again, the brighter the greens, the higher the wind speeds that we're seeing here. And so we do have some solid 30 to 40-mile-an-hour winds. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning, they've cut it out of most of Lake County, except for far southeast Lake County, and that does expire in the next 4 minutes. And again, they may reissue that depending on what they see. But there's a lot of wind energy up and down this line. So that's what it looks like from a wind profile. We'll get back over to the radar, and because of that, I am going to go back over to the Melbourne radar as well. So let's do that real quick. And again, switching in real time. I love it. There we go. Let's see here. Will it cooperate? Let's see. All right, I tell you what, let me bring on the composite real quick. I'll work on that in the background, no big deal. So you can see that again. There's your severe thunderstorm warning for the next 3 minutes. So what I am going to be curious about is the Weather Service going to extend this warning off towards the east, right? Are they going to include more of Seminole County, the central, the eastern sides of Orange County? And again, just how intense is this going to be for us here? It's a rowdy storm, there's no doubt about it. I'm looking to see if they have put out any other special weather statements in regarding this right now. They have updated it. And again, moving east at 35, 60-mile-an-hour winds and some penny-sized hail. Same areas that I've mentioned here will be impacted by this particular storm. So again, it's going to be on the nastier side. There's no doubt about it here as it moves off towards the east at around 35 miles an hour. All right. Let me put this back into motion real quick. I want you to just give you guys an idea of what's been happening here over the last couple of hours. You can see that this line has really held together. Now, again, we technically still have a tornado watch. Did they finally get rid of it? Okay, they did. Good. There was a tornado watch in northern areas until 1 o'clock, but the threat was gone because they were behind this line of storms, and obviously the atmosphere was raked because of that. You can see, by the way, the numbers on your screen, those are wind gusts as of the last hour, or if there's any special reports that come out of our reporting stations here in Central Florida. So you can see that the winds picked up a bit there at the Sanford Airport, up to 37 miles an hour as we started to see those storms move in. So not severe thunderstorm gust, but obviously getting pretty strong. And there's a lot of lightning with this as well. Let me make sure I get the lightning data on there for you guys as well. So that's going to pop on your screen. Let's see. Let me pause this, and then we'll get the lightning data back on there for you. So you can see that again, a lot of lightning strikes at this point in time. And obviously it is very, very thick right now through the heart of Orange County. Really heavy rain across the 429, Ocoee, Windermere, Oakland, on over towards Lockhart. Additional heavy storm right over the downtown Orlando area. And again, we're coming up here in the next couple of minutes to see this severe thunderstorm warning expire. So we'll see if the Weather Service pulls the trigger and tries to make this a little bit farther off towards the east as it moves east at 35. But again, in the metro Orlando area on this Tuesday, early afternoon, right around lunch, that is an intense storm. If you have a question about the forecast, you can drop it in the comments section below. Let me know where you're viewing from as well. I always love to hear that, guys. And thank you so much for tuning in to Central Florida Weather Live, where we've now seen the Sanford Airport go up to a 43-mile-an-hour wind gust. This is some really solid straight line winds coming out of this. Haven't really seen any rotation. That is good news for us here. And again, I don't think that that's going to be a big issue over the next couple of hours as this moves through. I'm going to do another quick reset here. I want to make sure I get all the information that I want to show you guys. And sometimes, Again, it can be a little intense for this system, but that's fine. We'll figure it out together. What I really wanted to make sure I did is when they popped on this potential new warning, that I'll be able to track that. So you can see, again, it's counting down in real time. We're down to the last 10 seconds of this warning, and it does, have they fired a new one? No, they haven't fired one yet. So again, severe thunderstorm warning is about ready to drop off, and we'll see if the Weather Service reissues it. But you can just see how wet it's gonna be and stormy it's gonna be in the Orlando area, Orange County in general. Now we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for our friends up in the New Smyrna Beach area. You can see that right now. Moving to the east, let's get the information for you real quickly here. Let's see, for that one, let's see here. Did they just issue that one? There's a severe thunderstorm warning. Just making sure that all of my information is right. There we go, severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, they did just issue it, actually. They issued it at 12:44. Actually, my computer picked it up before the Weather Service in Melbourne's website, which is why I was a little confused. Wanted to make sure that this was accurate, but this was actually even quicker than what they did on the website. So it's only about a 15-minute warning. Severe thunderstorm located over Edgewater, moving northeast at 40, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and some quarter-sized hail. Now again, it's already very intense in the New Smyrna Beach area towards Glencoe. Again, if you know anyone who is at the beaches in this area, please make sure, first of all, I hope they're already indoors, but there's even a little bit more intense core of this storm that's going to be moving in, and you can see that right now. Again, that's a really, really nasty storm. I'm going to switch over here now that I reset it. I want to bring back on the Melbourne radar here. So let me bring back on the Melbourne radar, and that's going to pop on right now. Excellent. And then I'm going to zoom back into this because we can track this a little bit better here with the Melbourne radar. First of all, you can see that hail core right there just to the east of I-95. There's the Edgewater area right there underneath the severe thunderstorm warning, but that's where this is moving, all right? So again, Edgewater in just about 8 minutes. That looks to be where the most intense part of that cell is going in right now. So again, this portion of Volusia County, including Edgewater, severe thunderstorm warning for the next 13 minutes. It's a narrow time frame as this puppy moves off to the northeast at 40. They just issued it basically just to the west of I-95, so it's not a big one. Now it does include New Smyrna Beach. New Smyrna Beach, you might stay just to the north of that most intense portion of the storm, but that's why they issued the severe thunderstorm warning. I'm telling you right now, is the hail potential for the Edgewater area right there, and then areas just off to the south there across US 1. And obviously it'll move across and then it'll move offshore where we already have a special marine warning that's in effect for the next 12 minutes as the leading edge of that line has already pushed its way offshore. All right, let's get back down. It does not look like the Weather Service, at least at this point in time, has reissued the severe thunderstorm warning here. I'm going to double check it. No, they haven't. So their text products are updating correctly, but their map right now is a little behind, which is why I'm a little more confused. I always just want to make sure I have like two resources, right? Take a look at the weather computer, anything when it comes to watches and warnings, because those are official statements that I'm just passing along, never issuing my own watches and warnings. So I just want to double check that what this computer is showing me is correct. And honestly, at least compared to the website, it's actually ahead of things. The Weather Service issues it, it goes through all the networks and gets spit out to various sources. And the website looks to be a little bit behind. So again, no severe thunderstorm warning in Metro Orlando right now. That's good news. I think part of the reason, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, was we had these showers develop ahead of it, kind of congestive showers to disrupt the wind field ahead of this squall line. And if you noticed here, in the last little bit, especially up towards Winter Park and Altamont Springs, this is all has just kind of congealed together. So we've lost that leading sharp edge of wind in these areas. So that's great news for places like Castleberry and Altamont Springs and Eatonville and Winter Park. Goldenrod and Union Park, still some heavy rain and a fair amount of lightning, but the wind threat looks to be diminishing there. That is good news. Still going to be very intense. I think from the 408 south, should be a little bit more wind in places like Conway and Edgewood and Pine Castle and Oak Ridge as well. Windermere, the rain is beginning to drop off for you. It's getting better in places like Ocoee and Winter Garden as well. It's beginning to improve in Lake Buena Vista, still some rain. So if I were at the attractions, I'd still want to be indoors. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, we got our new cell tracks came on. Okay. So this is a couple of new cells. Basically, if you saw that popped up in real time, once we had another full scan from the Melbourne radar, my computer said, oh, hey, by the way, Rusty, here are the areas that we are going to be watching here for you. And again, the reason why they're talking about that one, and I had just seen it, so give me 1 second here. Let me just take off those polygons because it's a little bit easier to show. I can bring it back on if I have to. It's because we have a probability of some hail right there. About a 60% chance, I believe. Yep. Moving to the east at 48 miles an hour. They're really beginning to rip. Now look, this could more than likely be some very small hail over the 417. But again, it's going to be pretty intense as far as the heavy rain and the lightning goes. Should miss Kissimmee to the north there. But again, drifting across, there's the turnpike, that's 91. Southern sides of places like JYP and OBT, and it's just some of the major thoroughfares there on the far southern sides of Orange, far extreme northern sides of Osceola County. Let's see what we're talking about here. East of Conway, north of the beach line, maybe a little bit north of Lee Vista. Here you go. Intense part of that one moving to the east right now at 33, 60% hail probability. It's all small, which is great news in these storms. So it shouldn't be, hopefully, destructive. 31 minutes in Bithlo, 69 in Mims, and 70 in Titusville. Again, you have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. Thank you so much for tuning in to Central Florida Weather Live. I am live here on this Tuesday afternoon. It's 12:51, tracking this intense line of storms moving across Central Florida as we speak. The strongest storm right now in our area is along the coastline of Volusia County. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for the next 8 minutes, mainly in the Edgewater area. These pinks are high reflectivity areas. You can see the live lightning data coming on right now. And again, the opportunity for some heavy rain and storms will continue in this area here as this storm pushes offshore. There is also a new special marine warning, which is even larger. So this smaller special marine warning will expire in 7 minutes. And this much larger polygon, which goes all the way up to Flagler Beach, is our new special marine warning to 52 minutes. Notice that they've upped the intensity of the winds up to 49 knots and some hail a little bit greater than 3/4 of an inch in size. So, mariners, coastal Volusia, coastal Flagler County, we continue to stay rowdy here for the next couple of hours and even a little bit deeper offshore. So again, new special marine warning. But that severe thunderstorm warning, again, still could be quite impactful here. Some of the heaviest stuff is moving right over Edgewater as we speak. So even though the warning goes for the next 7 minutes, we're really in the thick of it right now through coastal Volusia County. You can see, again, the very intense, that pulsing red, those fuchsia colors, that's high reflectivity here on the weather computer, showing where we have the most intense rain and of course your lightning. There's a few lightning strikes out of this. Again, the top center of your screen is going to show you the amount of lightning over the last 15 minutes in this area. Actually even filtered down a little bit as well, where I'm not including every lightning strike. It has to be moderately intense as far as energy goes. You can see new lightning strikes literally just popped up there in Daytona Beach. So even where the reflectivity is lower, there's still some intense showers and storms all the way up towards Daytona Beach and Holly Hill. And again, just following this line down, getting better in Deltona, in Lake Helen, in Orange City. That continues to push off towards your east. 415 right over the Osteen area right now. Some pretty solid rain. Again, tracking off towards your east there. It's beginning to improve in Sanford and Lake Mary and Winter Springs. Again, the core of that line is now east of you. You'll see some leftover showers in these areas, maybe for the next hour or so, but the intensity is going to be coming down a bit. Terry jumped on and asked me about Oviedo. I know you had a good burst of heavy rain and some thunderstorm activity there, but notice that even in Oviedo right now, because of that congregation, if you will, of some of those showers right over I-4, some of the intense weather has already moved east of you. We'll see if any of the heavier storms can get back into the Oviedo area, but now, generally speaking, they're moving off towards the east. That's a nasty cell over Bithlo. It's moving northeast at 29, headed towards Chuliota in 27 minutes. Again, hail probabilities are relatively high within portions of these cells, but at least the size is not of a great magnitude. It's less than a ½ inch, so you're kind of looking at some pea-sized hail. The Weather Service statement for the Volusia County one was up to quarter size, but again, other areas it was penny size. So again, not large hail. We would call this coin-sized hail, but I'm not even talking about quarters. More than likely, it's pea to dime within most of these cells. Again, another little intense cell kind of on the heels of that one. We'll move back over Bithlo at about 24 minutes, Mims at about 60, and Titusville in at 61. Not a lot of wind with the storm that rolled through OIA. That's good news. Kind of just kept that up because I wanted to get a good idea about how much rain we could, or how much wind we could expect to see out of that. But the winds of being 21, it's not the worst situation. Some of the most intense weather now is going to move into the south central and the southeast sides of Orange County. So for Lake Nona and Narcoossee and Medical City, back towards Kissimmee and the Campbell areas there. Again, certainly the opportunity, and here you go. There's your new 49-mile-an-hour wind gust down there in Kissimmee. That was kind of what I was keeping an eye out for. That's a solid wind. That is a potentially damaging wind moving through portions of Kissimmee. Again, if you have any opportunity to kind of strap things down, and again, that report was at 12:44, so just 11 minutes ago, they produced a wind of 33 miles an hour with a gust to 49 down in Kissimmee. Again, all real-time information here on Central Florida Weather Live. That's what we do. I'm live here at 12:55 on this Tuesday, coming up towards the top of the hour. At this point in time, showing you this line, we have one severe thunderstorm warning that will expire in 3 minutes for coastal Volusia County. The strongest part of that storm is beginning to move offshore. We are now going to be watching at the top of the hour places like southern sides of Volusia County, all of Brevard County, the eastern sides of Orange, and portions of Osceola County for the most intense cells. Just like we had in the Orlando metro area, there are some scattered showers developing ahead of this main line in Osceola and in Brevard counties. There's a nice little shower towards the Palm Bay area. This will not be severe, and again, this might help to disrupt the wind field ahead of this, potentially knocking down some of the storms. I think it's very clear to see. Let me give you the example. Up here in the Orlando area, we had those showers develop in the central and then eventually the northern sides of Orange County. As the winds came through, you had a 29-mile-an-hour wind in Orlando, Executive Airport downtown, you had a 21 at MCO. We did not have those showers ahead of the main line in northern Osceola County, and we got a 49-mile-an-hour wind gust from the leading edge, the leading push of storms there in Kissimmee just about 12 minutes ago. Great to see you guys on this early Tuesday afternoon. Thank you so much for coming in and liking the live stream here. I appreciate it. It helps out the channel as we're just getting started. Our friends in the Auburndale area, Winter Haven, had a 39-mile-an-hour wind. There's going to be some rain towards Cypress Springs right now in the Legoland area, moving off towards the east. This continues to dissipate a bit. It's a little bit more spotty right now through most of Polk County, but I'll be monitoring that situation. And again, we had an intense storm that moved through the Tampa area a little bit earlier here. I'm just going to switch I'm going to take off. I don't want to switch radar sites, but I want to bring back on just the composite radar. So this is basically all the radar sites together, just to kind of give you an idea of what's happening, because maybe you're tuning in and saying, am I in any issues right now? Palm Coast, the rain is beginning to move out of your area. I'm going to loop this up for you guys real quickly as well. Hopefully it'll loop. You know what? That's right. I was having problems with the radar wanting to loop. That's okay. So again, areas to our west, let's say Astor and Ocala, and Leesburg and Inverness, and Spring Hill and Groveland, and the Tampa areas, you're going to be all clear for now. The leading edge of this is moving off towards the east. So it's going to be areas along this line and to the south and to the east that we'll be monitoring for the next hour or so. Now, again, there's waves of energy coming in. There's more storms that are going to be on the horizon. This is just one impulse of energy coming out. You can see from the Storm Prediction Center, they elevated our risk to the slight category. That is the area in yellow for the remainder of today. That's basically a 2 out of 5 on their scale. Main threats still going to be wind and hail, although we did have a tornado watch for our northern areas until 1 p.m. That was allowed to expire early. Thankfully, there was no tornado issues out of this. But again, that's for today. For tomorrow, we are under at least a marginal risk that you never know could be upgraded because, again, we're going to have at least one more round of storms and potentially 2 more rounds of storms coming in between now and midday on your Wednesday. I mentioned that in yesterday's live stream that, again, it just wasn't going to be a one-time process here. This was going to be some pretty active weather for our area over the next couple of days. Going to bring back on the live radar out of Melbourne. And again, that severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire here for the Edgewater area of Volusia County. We do have our special marine warning that is now kicked in for the next 45 minutes, but still a very intense line of storms up and down and just east of the I-4 corridor, now pushing into, not the ocean, Rusty, not the ocean, now pushing into the I-95 corridor of especially Volusia counties. Friends, we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to take a quick break, about a minute. Going to reset. I'll see you back here in just 1 second at Central Florida Weather Live. Of course, stay with me. This will be running real time. I'll be back in just 1. Hi friends, Rusty back here with you at Central Florida Weather Live. I am live on this Tuesday afternoon. It is 1:01. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm on live because I'm tracking some intense storms here through portions of Central Florida. I've been live for I think a little bit over an hour now. And again, I'm going to be live when there's something to talk about. This is a live only channel, so if you know you get the notification that I'm on, it's something you want to pop on and at least check out. As of the 1 o'clock hour, at least at this point in time, we do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings, but there is a very, very large area all in this yellow that is under a special weather statement. Basically what that means is the storms are just below severe weather criteria. Winds, instead of being 60 miles an hour, are 50 miles an hour. Hail, instead of being an inch in size, is a quarter inch in size. And again, that's good news. We don't want to be as intense, but again, they're just below severe criteria. And the reason why I mention that is these are still going to be rowdy storms. They're still going to be noisemakers. They're going to be heavy rain makers. They're producing a fair amount of lightning. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you tuned in, I did expect the intensity of this to wane a little bit as it worked its way off to the east. That being said, we just got done with a severe thunderstorm warning in coastal Volusia County. If you're here, great to see you. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really do appreciate it. If you could do me a couple of favors and just drop a like, that thumbs up, just click it. It helps out the channel tremendously. Lets other people be aware that we exist, which is always a thing when you're starting something out. Drop in the comment section below. Say hi, where you're viewing us from. Just like Isais. Did I get that right? I hope I did. Can I call you EE? Hi, Isais. I'm going to go with Isais. I hope. We'll see. You let me know, okay? But thank you so much, and thank you for saying hi. Let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing from, and would love to hear from you. You have a specific question about the forecast, let me know. I'm happy to answer that as well. So again, special weather statement for the next 10 minutes. Now, along this line, I can actually track that as well. And again, you can see some of the areas that this is going to be impacting, and it's really going to be impacting a lot of areas. So, you know, it says St. Cloud and like dropping off at about 40 minutes and eventually Mims and Titusville, but that's from that one line, and there's some heavier rain off towards the west even from that as well. So what I'm going to do here, I guess it's not a bother. I didn't want this to cluster up too much here, but when I zoom in, it does kind of shrink down. So that's good news. But again, where is the heaviest activity right now? Well, it's moving out of University Park, moving through Bithlo. Again, I don't see right now a lot of hail signatures coming out of this. We had some of that towards Edgewater. And again, New Smyrna had a 20-mile-an-hour wind. That's not horrible, but you can see some of those lightning strikes. It's certainly intense. Again, Oak Hill, seeing it right now, that special marine warning that's in effect. And now this is just going to start getting into Brevard County. So Mims, basically from north to south. Mims is up next. Titusville is a few minutes behind from that. And then other areas to the south, including Sharps and Cocoa Beach, Rockledge, the Merritt Island area, Indian Harbor Shores, the Cape. There's Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach. And again, all of these areas will more than likely be impacted by this line, especially from Satellite Beach north. You notice that there are some non-severe showers developing ahead of this. So southern areas, central and southern areas of Brevard County could have some passing showers that will be non-severe with maybe a few lightning strikes before this main line moves into your area. Really some intensity ramping up through southeast sides of the Orlando metro area right now, Lake Nona and Medical City. Narcoossee, there's the 417, there's the Beachline interchange right now, and again, pretty good lightning coming out of this. OIA did get a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust. Kissimmee's latest is 41, but they had a 49-mile-an-hour one, I believe right around 12:44 p.m. So we just got some updates at the top of the hour. If there are any special updates out of these sites, we get those in real time as well. So again, everything you're looking at here is in real time. We're live. You can see the live radar out of Melbourne. And again, I'm monitoring the situation here. This special weather statement goes for the next 8 minutes. I'm happy to report that as I've looked at this over the last half hour or so, it does appear the intensity is coming down. I mean, certainly we're getting better in Orlando, in Altamont Springs, and Sanford. Still at a 32-mile-an-hour wind gust of last hour there at the airport, and then things are really beginning to dry out in a hurry. Again, this is another round of storms with more coming, and as this comes to a close, if you stick around, I'm going to show you the high-resolution models over the next 24 to 36 hours and how the evolution of the next impulse of energy coming from the north central Gulf of Mexico will play out in the timing of the next round of potentially strong to severe storms across central Florida. But, you know, this is not the only game in town. As I mentioned in yesterday's live streams, we're going to have multiple rounds of storms. So this continues right now for Oak Hill. Special weather statement for the next 7 minutes or so. There's the Orlando area for this particular cell, which is a little bit stronger right now. So again, looking at that one, it's moving northeast at 30. Let me zoom in a little bit here, as a matter of fact, get into this area that's going to really be impacting. We're talking Mims at about 26 minutes, and then the Bithlo area at about 38. And I think that's on the heels of the next one coming in for the Bithlo area. And again, you can see the track of that as it moves northeast at around 30 miles an hour. 80% hail probability there. Hail size maybe up to 3/4 of an inch. Now that's higher. Service is talking about. They have a 1/4 inch sized hail out of this, but again, it's hard to expand out that far. This entire area in yellow is under that special weather statement. Basically, the Weather Service just thinks that this entire line, as it comes through, will stay just below severe weather criteria. But that doesn't mean if they see an intense part of the cell kind of ramp back up, that we might not get a severe thunderstorm. And an area that I would be a little bit more interested in watching is going to be northern Brevard County right now, Mims and the Titusville areas. Let's switch over to the winds and take a look at that. So we'll switch over to the velocity here, and we'll take a look at what some of these wind speeds are showing. I mean, some solid winds, again, below severe criteria. So again, they're reporting 50-mile-an-hour winds. And again, these are pretty low level. We're close to the Melbourne radar site. So let's talk about our friends in MIMS. Still around 20. So the winds are beginning to pick up. But Chuliota right now, 30-mile-an-hour winds. Oviedo, 25. There's Bithlo in at around 35-mile-an-hour winds. It gets more intense. Could be some near 50-mile-an-hour winds across the beach line right now with some lightning strikes. That would not be fantastic news for our friends traveling across the beach line, either west or east. And again, kind of some of those brighter colors is what I'm looking for. And again, all of these numbers are ground truth reports. So this is certainly not out of the question. If we're getting ground truth reports of 40, 41-mile-an-hour winds, that we could be having still some areas here south of the beach line, 40 to potentially even 50 miles an hour. Good push of wind coming out of this cell. Let's switch back over to our reflectivity product. So now again, you're looking at the intensity of the rain as well. All right, guys, special weather statement goes until 4 more minutes here. I want to see, let's see here. Yeah, no severe thunderstorm warnings. Just double checking some of the information here. Say until 1:15. So my computer's slightly ahead of time, but that's okay. So basically the next 4 to 5 minutes, that's what I wanted to see is when the true expiration time was. 1:15, 50-mile-an-hour winds, pea-sized hail. Yep. And again, I think it's shrinking off a little bit here. Again, it's still going to be an intense storm. And if you live in Brevard County, this is still something we want to watch out for here over the next half hour to 45 minutes as it moves through places like Mims and Titusville. If you know anyone who potentially might be visiting Cape Canaveral right now, KSC Visitor Center, let them know. You notice that the Weather Service has put up a special marine warning already. Okay, so they already know that this storm is going to be intense, and they went ahead and they made it for more than an hour and a half. Main threats here for our friends in Brevard County along coastal areas is going to be some winds of up to 40 knots. So those are some strong, just below severe criteria winds. Now again, out ahead of this, we're still seeing some showers pop up. If you live in the Malabar and Palm Bay area and Melbourne Beach, there is some rain. A little bit of gusty wind. You can see that the Melbourne site reported 25-mile-an-hour winds, but you get the idea here that we do have some clusters of non-severe showers and a few rumbles of thunder popping up there. St. Cloud getting a nice little punch of some rain right now, pretty solid across 192. That'll be trying to drift back towards Harmony and Holopal there, and eventually through portions of 441. But it's a little bit more spotty, or at least not as concentrated. It gets certainly much more that way when you're across portions of the eastern sides of Orange County. And again, it's pretty heavy rain right now across the beach line. Bithlo seeing some good lightning at this point in time as well. Again, if you live in downtown Orlando or the metro in general, pretty much the all clear except for the southeast side of the metro. Still some pretty tense lightning over Lee Vista, on over towards Rio Pinar, the Medical City area there, the 417 Bend. There's OIA with the 41-mile-an-hour wind gust. So still concentration, some heavier rain there. And again, localized flooding is possible. Some low-lying areas, some drainage issues, could be some ponding on the roadways as well. But for I-4 West, this puppy moved fast enough, 35, 40 miles an hour, that we're good. And if you're asking me, Rusty, is there another round coming in during the afternoon hours? The answer is no, okay? At this point in time, do not expect another round of storms to move in at least through the daylight hours. And the possibility that the next round of storms may not even move in until overnight. So again, what they've done is they have reissued the severe weather statement. That's what I was waiting for. So the larger severe weather statement, all of this area in yellow, and let me take off the radar here so it's just real clear for everyone to see. All of this area in yellow, special weather statement that's about ready to expire. I mentioned that I was more interested, and by more interested, I mean I'm going to have to probably put a little bit more emphasis on the northern sides of Brevard County. And that's exactly where the new special weather statement is. And it does go for the next 45 minutes. Now, what's one note that's good? They've dropped the intensity of the winds back down to 40 miles an hour with some potential quarter-sized hail. Still some good lightning strikes appearing right now, but again, this special larger weather statement is going to go away, and now the intensity of this becomes a little bit smaller in nature, and that's good news. And while the radar is off real quickly, again, just kind of showing you, we've had some solid winds, but nothing outrageous. Actually, some of the strongest winds have been in the southern sides of Orange County and the northern sides of Osceola County. The areas in blue in the polygons, those are your special marine statements, special marine warnings that are currently in effect. A lot of lightning with that cell that moved off of portions of Volusia County. Let's get the radar back on. And again, here in just 1 second, we're going to see the larger severe special weather statement move away. And again, what I love about this computer is it gives me the 1/10 of a second it's going to go away. Is it unnecessary? Absolutely. Do I love it? You're darn right I do. Right? It's almost like a shot clock in basketball. We're counting down. So special weather statement continues for the next 45 minutes is the new one that just came up. If we take a look at, again, if you see this white line, this is where the radar says it's kind of the leading edge when we're talking about a squall line of most intense weather. So I can bring that on and we can track out that storm. And again, headed towards Mims in about 10 minutes, Titusville in about 11, and eventually Sharps at about 15. And again, this is within the actual line. Now we can zoom in a little bit more here. And again, you get the idea of where the most intense weather is. Now, again, what you're looking at here is where does this start? Well, it actually starts back here. All right. And then we pick up where it's going to be moving to. So again, Mims, you're in it right now, but another wave of some heavier activity could be coming your way in about 10 minutes as this moves up to the north and to the east. So a couple of different ones I can look at here. Here's another one that shows you a little bit broader perspective, right? So a couple of different ways that we can track this. The bottom line is with this leading edge that'll be moving into the Mims area shortly. Same thing for St. Cloud and Titusville, Sharps in 12, and then it gets a little bit longer in time. Cocoa Beach 16, Rockledge 19, the Cape 24, Merritt Island 25, and Cocoa Beach in at 28. And again, within this, all I have to do is zoom in and we can look at one area very, very closely. So if you don't live in Sharps, but you live just to the north, you can see your absolute time of arrival down to the very second. If you said, Rusty, when is the beach line split going to get hit? We can take a look at that. That's in the next 6.5 minutes. Again, counting down in real time. Special weather statement that is currently in effect for these areas. All right. So again, kind of tracking this squall line. The intensity has come down a little bit. And that's great news. But again, it's still relatively rough in the northern sides of Brevard County. Scattered showers continue to develop in the southern sides of Brevard County, Melbourne and Palm Bay. I don't expect that to be severe. Right now, it's a little too congested in the atmosphere. All of this activity in portions of southern Osceola and Polk counties really came down in intensity rather quickly. So if you live in Palm Bay and even up towards Melbourne and Indian Harbor Beach and Satellite Beach, I think you're far enough south where you're going to avoid any real potential for stronger winds and some smaller hail. Still could get some gusty winds from time to time, up to 30 or 40, and some intense lightning from time to time, but I don't think you're going to be in the severe weather potential. And even in the northern sides of Brevard County, again, it's not a severe thunderstorm warning, it is a special weather statement. This cell, tracking off towards the northeast right now, again, could be pretty intense in some spots, moving to the north, to the east at around 38 miles an hour. 70% chance for hail. But again, all of this is very small. But if you live in the Mims Titusville area, let me know in the comments section below if you're even getting a little bit of pea-sized hail. I think it's possible. I do think it's possible here, but more than likely this is heavy rain and a fair amount of lightning. And again, good news, there's no severe thunderstorm warnings, but as these storms push offshore, you see very, very large special marine warnings that are currently in effect for us here. Had a 32-mile-an-hour wind gust at Sanford, so even behind the rain, we have some gustier winds, but it is moving relatively quickly. I mean, these storms raked Metro Orlando at the top of the lunchtime hour here, and now we focus on what's happening in the northern sides of portions of Brevard County. Again, special weather statement, not any severe weather. It's going to be looking a little bit better for us here, I think, over the next couple of hours. So what I want to do right now, as the intensity of these storms start to come down, and I don't expect them to redevelop, at least in the short term, is I do want to take a minute to talk to those who are still watching about what I expect coming up between now and Wednesday, because again, this is going to be some active weather overall. So let me take off some of this data here, and it's going to give me a little bit clearer ability to talk about what I expect to happen. So let's get rid of some of these special weather statements and all of that. And I'm even going to get rid of the radar. And then we're going to talk about what the models are showing over the next 24 to 36 hours. So the first thing I want to do, if you're just coming on, is talk about our severe weather risk in general. The Storm Prediction Center upped our risk for today into the slight yellow. That's basically 2 out of 5 on their scale. Now, most of that is part of what we've already seen. I don't expect there to be another redevelopment of any activity between now and very late tonight. We are under a marginal risk for strong to severe storms for tomorrow. Main threats are still going to be some winds of 60 miles an hour and some inch-sized hail. So that's kind of what it looks like in the broad perspective. Make sure there's no mesoscale discussions. No, there's not. All right, so what does it look like on the model? Well, we're going to go over to our HRR model, or high resolution rapid refresh. I'm going to put this on. Give me just 1 second. And we're going to time out the next wave of showers and storms together. Again, if I can figure out how to get rid of those icons when I bring on this model, I promise you I will. That's one of my next chores. So let's bring this on. Take just 1 second for it to fully loop. And by the way, if you haven't yet, if you wouldn't mind doing me a big favor, click that like button. I appreciate it. If you'd like to find other ways to support the channel, you can find that in the description below. I appreciate any support here for us at Central Florida Weather Live. So as I have mentioned, we're not just going to see one round of showers and storms. We still have impulses of energy coming from the north central portions of the Gulf of Mexico. So let's talk and see how this is going to play out here the remainder of today and tomorrow, because it's through mid-afternoon tomorrow that I have the highest concerns. Well, we can clearly see that the model is doing a pretty good job with what's going to be happening and pushing these storms offshore. Now again, 5 o'clock today, right? Let me get down just a little bit farther south and zoom out just a little bit. 5 o'clock today, 6 o'clock, still basically quiet. Next round of potential stronger storms might drift across I-10 in areas just to the south, maybe as far south as Gainesville tonight. So at this point in time, outside of the Gainesville area, what we cover here in Central Florida Weather Live, I don't expect there to be another round of storms. I'll monitor these short-range, high-resolution models, and if I need to post something about it or I need to jump back on, I absolutely will. But those storms are looking like they're going to behave for our area and stay just to the north. Now, overnight, an isolated shower or storm is possible. Things could get ramped up even earlier tomorrow and be even more widespread. I want you to notice how the model for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. has a lot of convection, a lot of showers and storms, but nothing that's very organized. If it develops in this way, more than likely, these storms are only going to be marginally severe. There's not a lot of wind profile in the atmosphere to support this kind of congestion and still make these storms severe criteria. And even the freezing level and kind of looking at what we call the lapse rate and other things I look at for some of the intensity potential of these storms might be marginalized a little bit for tomorrow. But I still think there's at least some small hail threat. But this could just be another round of extremely wet storms. Now, for the Metro Orlando area, might try and dry out right around 1 o'clock or so. Areas to the north, Daytona Beach, Palm Coast, Ocala, Gainesville, should begin to dry out a little bit quicker. Eventually what's going to happen is all of this gets shoved to the south. We finally get a push of a more northwest wind to push these storms off towards the south. So for Tampa, you're going to be situated in it just a little bit longer here. And you can see those storms drift off by the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow to the south. But that's what we're looking for. Again, timing-wise, maybe some isolated activity that's not severe around daybreak. Main line coming in 8 to 9 o'clock, just depending on the timing of this. And again, this is just one model run, but I've been looking at it pretty intensely lately, and I've seen about the same scenario. And then this pushes off, and then we get into some drier weather. Not maybe completely dry, but the severe threat does go away. And if any of our friends are watching in the Bahamas, you guys have been extremely dry. You're going to get the opportunity for some showers and storms there with this last push coming in on Wednesday. But that's how it plays out, guys. Expect another round to come in to the I-10 corridor overnight. You can see that. And then another wave and our last big push coming through the heart of Central Florida, potentially as early as daybreak tomorrow through the morning hours, and then pushing off towards the south. So that's how it plays out over the next 24 hours or so. Okay, back over to the radar. Let's get the latest information here from the weather, from the NextRed site out of Melbourne. So I'm going to pop that back on, and we're going to bring back on all of our special weather statements, all those other good things. Again, while you're here, let me know. Tell me hi. Let me know you're thinking about me. There's your special weather statement for the northern sides of Brevard County. Again, it looks to be waning in intensity. Let's bring back on the lightning data as well. So that comes back on. And you can see all those pop on. Again, when you're looking at this, you're seeing lightning over the last 15 minutes. Pretty solid amount over the MIMS area. You know, MIMS certainly it has the most intense part of this. All right, MIMS, and then towards US 3, then pushing offshore. Titusville, heavy rain right now, moving away. Of course, getting back into areas that aren't populated for the most part. There's the Cape. Again, just depending on where we are in the Cape. Sharps, getting in on it right now towards Cocoa. Cocoa right on that line. Sharps will at least have some downpours out of this. It is a little bit more intense up towards the north though. You can see that. And again, Merritt Island south, we're looking better. Isolated showers in this area. Even the cell that had a little bit of hail with it moving across 441 right now has really lowered in intensity. So that's good news. And again, Metro Orlando, if you're just tuning in, we're basically done. I mean, there's a little bit, first of all, there's still very dark skies, I imagine. Lake Mary and Winter Springs, a lot of low clouds even behind the most intense rain that came through. There was at least one lightning strike in Winter Springs in the last 15 minutes, but shouldn't be much more left. And again, if you're tuning in from our west coast, my friends in Citrus County and Hernando and Pasco and Pinellas and Hillsborough counties, you're going to be quiet for the remainder of the afternoon hours. Trudy says hi from Oklahoma. Hi, Trudy. Thank you for following me. I appreciate it. So I'm from Crystal River. I say born and raised, but I was actually born in Ocala because there was no maternity ward in Citrus County when I was born. So that was the closest maternity ward, a hospital, was in Ocala. But raised in Crystal River, worked across the country for a while. I spent nearly 7 years in Oklahoma City from 2007 to 2013. Extremely, extremely intense weather there. And then have been happy to call Central Florida home again since 2013. But Trudy, thank you so much. Made a lot of friends in Oklahoma, obviously a very intense weather area. A lot of bonding between meteorologists and others, including viewers, when you go through those kinds of situations. Trudy, I hope you did well with the storms that have been very intense in Oklahoma over the past week or two. I've been monitoring it some, and I know that portions of Metro Oklahoma City has some pretty rowdy weather there. For us here locally, again, watching these storms kind of beginning to come to an end here in the northern sides of Brevard County. Doing a couple different things behind the scenes, just making sure that, I don't expect anything else to develop, but I think we're going to be pretty good here. So I do want to mention real quickly that for any beachgoers, we still have some rain along the coast, and there are still some lightning strikes west of I-95, all right? So I know the most intense part is getting out of the area, but please be very cautious along the coastline getting back outdoors. Large special marine warning in effect, and they just pushed it farther east because that line has really held together as it's pushed off of Volusia County. Your special marine warning for a large chunk of central and northern Brevard County goes at least for the next 75 minutes, where the Weather Service will monitor that. And again, the most intense part of this particular cell is east of MIMS now. Titusville, going to be pushing offshore. Wilson, if you know that area, northern sides of Cape Canaveral, and then as far south as Sharps, with much more isolated rain right now through the rest of Brevard and Osceola counties. Friends, I believe I'm going to wrap it up for now. I believe the severe threat is going to be gone for now as these storms push off the coast. If you've been waiting to do some grocery shopping or to get back outside, in most areas, we're looking pretty good. I still do want to mention, though, again, I'm catching a couple of lightning strikes even well behind that main line, even near I-4. When thunder roars, you head indoors, give yourself a little bit of extra time in these areas. Lake County west, we're better. Sumter County, Marion County, and in our western coastal areas. But even around Metro Orlando, may not want to be venturing out just because of the lightning threat still for the next few minutes or so. But again, conditions will continue to improve in our area the remainder of the afternoon. We'll be watching for another intense area of storms coming in some far northern areas late tonight. But then for, it looks like most of Central Florida again, right around or even potentially before daybreak tomorrow morning. I'll be monitoring that, I promise you. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in to the latest Central Florida weather live stream. I absolutely appreciate you. As you leave, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, I appreciate that. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you can find that in the comments section below. Have a great, safe remainder of your Tuesday. You know, if there's anything that needs to be talked about weather-wise here in Central Florida, I'll be back on. So I'll see you next time. Have a great one, friends.